Everyday Boss Bells is brought to you by Just Create JA, LH Multimedia, Jamaica Observer, Catherine Speak Spring Water, Adam and Eve Day Spa and Salon, Reasons and Seasons Decor, CPJ's Yellowtail Bubbles Sparkling Wine, New Levels Decor, the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Carissa Zoe Makeup Artistry, and Cali Danny Designs. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Everyday Boss Bells. I'm your girl, Michelin the PR Belle, and today we have with us an amazing woman. She is the creator, executive producer, and host of our very own talk show, It's a Woman's World. We have with us Stacy-Ann Smith. Welcome, Stacy.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. Might I say that you are gorgeous and glowing.
Thank you very much. And I see we're matching and in similar colors.
That's a great minds think alike, right?
And you're looking absolutely beautiful.
Thank you very much.
So tell me, It's a Woman's World. How did you conceptualize that, and what does that brand and product mean to you?
Well, first of all, I have to say that it is a little unusual for me to be sitting on this side.
Yes.
Generally, I'm the one that's posing the questions, but I will try to be a good guest for you today.
You already are a good guest.
It's a Woman's World really gave me a platform to share fascinating stories about women, for women, by women. I actually had the idea for many years. I'd worked in television for maybe close to 20 years, TV production. And, you have ideas from time to time. I actually have had several ideas, and you write the concepts and you put it down. But for some reason, I did not have the kind of confidence that you need to, as you know, in order to step out and to do your thing. And one day it occurred to me, we're not getting any younger. You still have this burning passion to do this thing, and why not? And came to the point where I started to really believe in my own ability to be and to do, and to know that I am capable of doing this thing. And so I started to put in the work, and it was a long journey, but we're now down 2 full seasons.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. 2 whole seasons. So what's next for It's a Woman's World?
So we're looking at season 3. We're trying to tweak it because, your viewers get used to the kind of chemistry, the camaraderie between the hosts on set, the kind of quality that we've been able to deliver. But people want to get something new. People want something that's a little new and different. And so we're now at the point, and I'm not going to give away our state secrets.
Yes, it's always good. It's always good enough to break the news.
Man.
Tell me a little
So we are working on a really nice feature that I'm confident our viewers will like. We actually do a lot of listening. So we get feedback, not just anecdotal feedback from people we know and people who see you on the road and say, hey, you're the lady on It's a Woman's World, but also those persons who connect with us via social media. So they tell us what they want to see, and as far as possible, we see how we can incorporate that. So it's going to be really, really nice. It's going to be exciting, and I know our audiences will love it.
I'm looking out something new and exciting. But Stacey, speaking about confidence earlier in terms of when you have a burning passion, an idea, a vision, but not having that confidence to execute, right? What gave you the confidence to finally do this It's a Woman's World project?
Well, I'll take you back a little bit before that. So it's something that you and I have talked about, my own struggles with my self-esteem, and that belief that I am capable. It's one of the things that ends up being one of the byproducts of low self-esteem, not really seeing yourself for who you are. And a turning point for me was when I became a Christian. I recognized that God loves me and I'm made in the image for all of who I am, flaws and all, and made in the image and likeness of God. And if you are made in the image and likeness of God, then it means that you are capable, you can. So things that you thought that you weren't able to do, you can actually do it. And it also is part of your walk of faith, and learning and growing as you go along and maturing in your Christian walk. So for me, that was a turning point. It didn't happen as a overnight, but it was a process, and I'm very happy to say that it worked, and I was able to walk through that to execute.
Well, you are a beautiful woman, I must say. But the self-esteem part, where did that come from?
So I grew up as many young Jamaican girls. I've always been a plus size girl. I've never been a small person. I'm almost 6 feet tall, and I've been this height since I was 14 years old.
Wow.
So I'm usually the tallest girl in the room. And not being a small or your ideal picture of what a beautiful woman is supposed to be. So growing up, I thought I was fat and ugly. Most of the images that you see in popular culture on TV, you know, we grew up back in the day when you had Dynasty and Falcon Crest on TV. Everybody was,
wearing corsets.
let me tell you,
small waist.
but then you didn't know that, you know, you had this impression that everybody had this perfect size 2 figure. Models were all very thin. Everybody wore long weave hair. I mean, even black women didn't celebrate their hair or their natural self. And so you grow up thinking that you are not enough. Then my part of my upbringing, my grandfather was one of those persons. He was born in 1921, so he's coming with all of the vestiges of colonial life, and was of this impression that, you know, if you're too dark, and I was considered too dark because he was a very brown skinned man, and grew up hearing people say nothing too black, no good, you know, and thinking that the skin you're in is not ideal. Then you're fat and ugly on top of it. I mean, you.
That's interesting, because I was skinny, and I wanted to be, I wanted to be thick or have a little bit more meat, because you're like, nobody's looking at a skinny girl. So it's so interesting that the things people feed us takes us to a place where we think that we're not good enough.
It is what society tells you, the images that you are presented. Sometimes even family members. I mean, I remember growing up, my grandfather used to put a clothespin on my nose because my nose was too big. Because his nose was nice and pointy, and he put a clothespin on my nose, and that told me that my nose was ugly, and it made my face ugly. And as a child, unless you have persons around you, especially as a teenage girl, if you don't have people who help you to unlearn some of those messages that you are sold and you're taught, then you are going to end up in a situation where you feel as if you are less than. And it's so important for us to encourage our young people. I mean, I have a 16-year-old daughter now, and I'm very deliberate.
I was going to get into that in terms of motherhood. How do you now change the narrative for your children, not just young girls? Because sometimes the conversation tends to kind of stir to women and our confidence and self-esteem, but our boys struggle a lot with that as well.
Well, I tell you something, my son don't have any challenges in that regard.
Well,
if conceited was a person, it would be him. But no, he is very self-assured, very confident, not just in what he looks like. And boys and girls are very different. I mean, raising them, it was very obvious to me. I learned things raising them that I didn't know growing up, or even as a very young adult. Oftentimes as women, we don't understand men, but they really are different. They're wired different. And you have to get to know and understand them, understand how their minds work in order to really have a good relationship with them, whether it's a mother-son relationship or wife and husband or boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever it is. You have to just learn who they are and
Or
how
even
they
friendships.
think. Yeah,
Just
how
regular
how they
platonic
are
friendships.
different from us. And so what I made sure to do was to ensure that they have a healthy appreciation for who they are. They know that God loves them, and just that alone is enough. It makes them precious and full of potential, and they have purpose. And it's been a journey, as you know, even with all of the encouragement that you give, especially for teenage girls. I mean, you and I know what that is like.
Yes.
But I have to say that I'm very proud of where they are, and I've been very deliberate in ensuring that you have to constantly cancel those negative messages that people will send to your children, because it's not just things that people will say, off the cuff comments. It's those things that they see in the media. I mean, they're on social media. What looks good, what's not, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, look at you. Look how gorgeous you are. And people
Thank
would
you.
say to you, boy, you need to be thicker. Why? You know, you are perfect as you are. And that's something that I've come to appreciate. Yes, you're not always going to love every single thing about your body, but you have to get to the point where you can appreciate that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And
And
not
we
a
are
thing don't wrong with
fabulous.
me. Me say me nice subtle.
Nice and bad. Looking good. But Stacey, do you think women have a harder time than men generally in our society? And how do you fully own yourself as a woman when you step into any room in your career? Just how do you own that confidence?
Well, unfortunately, women do have a harder time because of how we're socialized. We are socialized as women in many cases to compete more aggressively against each other, and it has to do with men. Because we're told as young girls, I remember hearing my grandmother say, peace a man better than no man at all, which therefore means that you are the one that needs to keep the man. Certainly in the last 50 years, women are finding their place in a stronger and more relevant way in business and in the corporate world. But still, there are places where you have to make sure that you stand up and be heard, and you have to, regardless of your personality, not everybody is as assertive as you might be or as I am, but you have to make sure that you open your mouth and you make them know that may have sense. I have something to contribute. I can be part of this process, and I bring value to the table. And it goes back to you knowing who you are. You have to know who you are. So you have to spend time with yourself. You have to spend time. What do I like? Why do I like this? What do I really want? Where do I see myself? Who do I really want to be? Because sometimes there are things about yourself, especially when you begin to examine your thoughts and beliefs. You may carry things that your grandmother did tell you, where you have to just say, boy, I love you, mama, but me not really believe in this. Like, peace of man better than no man at all.
Nope.
No, nothing don't go like that.
Nothing
Because
at
I
all.
am good all by myself. I'm actually better by myself than with a piece of man. And those are some of the things that you have to examine. What are my beliefs? Why do I think this way? And how does that line up with this long-term vision I have for who I am? So you have to spend some time with yourself, learn who you are, and then be prepared to make those adjustments so you can be the best version of yourself.
Solid advice. But what would you say to people who are afraid to kind of face themselves? Because as you say, we carry a lot of things into adulthood that stems from you're a child, and sometimes you don't recognize it until, I don't know, some crisis or somebody points it out because you're not self-aware. What would you say to persons to take that first step into kind of just being self-aware and recognizing things that you may be bringing from childhood?
So as I said, it's so important for you to know where you are. And sometimes it's a very painful process. Sometimes when you stop to begin to think about who you are, it can get really messy, and I have found wisdom in counsel. So in Jamaica, we often tend to think that when you see a therapist or a counselor or it doesn't have to be a counseling psychologist. It could just be a strong person who's wise, whose opinion you value. You can sit and have a conversation. We all have a blind spot. There are several theories that talk about this blind spot, things that people know about you that you don't know about yourself. And it's so important for you to have a sounding board, somebody who you can trust, who you can say, be very honest, brutally honest with me. What do you think? And relationships where a mentor or somebody close to you who can say, Stace, say you said that a while ago and that wasn't the right thing to say. And why do you think? And start to ask you the questions that probe you, to cause you to really begin to examine yourself and to be honest with yourself. And if you're not prepared to be honest with yourself, then you can't start the process. What would I say about people who are afraid? There really isn't anything to fear but fear itself. And fear is not of God. It is maybe the most significant thing that prevents us from being who we really are and who we need to be, because we're afraid. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid it's not going to work. We're afraid if we open our mouth, then when things are too enough, people going to think, say,
enough syndrome.
They never say that men are enough, right?
Never.
It's just women. People are going to say, oh, you're too aggressive. People are going to say, she's looking for attention. Forget about all of that. Spend the time. Think about where you want to be. Look at who you are now and see what steps you need to take in order to get to that version of yourself. And more than likely, you're not going to be able to do that by yourself, which is why it's so important to have those relationships that support Michelle. If it is that you're looking around and in your circle and you can't find somebody who you trust, invest in it. No, spend the money and go and see a therapist, see a counselor.
Then you have to assess your circle though, as well.
Yeah,
if you can't find one person to talk to, maybe not give you all the advice in the world that you need, but you must have one friend or some associate or somebody who you can start to have that conversation with.
And I agree with you fully. If you have a circle and you don't have that one person, then you're in trouble. The truth is, though, once you begin the process with a counselor or some other person that's external to your circle, you'll begin to recognize that your circle won't fix.
True.
And then in that way, you begin to take the steps, because you really do need to have people around you who can support you, give you a swift kick in the behind if you need it, and say, no, Stace, you can't do that. Or you're supposed to be working on something. Say, how far you reach with that now? We don't hear you say nothing about it. What's going on? Mind you procrastinating again, because procrastination is one of my issues. It's something that I have to battle with, that, you're taking forever to do something. And I know that because I've come to face it. You recognize those issues, those shortfalls that you have, and then you work at it, because none of us is perfect. So once you identify where your weaknesses, or as some people say, your development areas.
Areas of development. That's the corporate word.
Yes, that's the corporate speak, your areas of development. Then you can work at it.
Great. Who is your sounding board?
I have a couple of sounding boards. So I have two very good friends. We've been friends. Oh my gospel, I'm going to age myself now. One I've been friends with for more than 30 years, and the other one we've been friends, two girlfriends, for about 25 years. When I have major life issues, I'll pick up the phone and I call and I say, let's talk about this. In recent times, I also started investing in a therapist. So a professional who is able to be objective, because, I love Tracy and Cecile to my heart, but they are a little biased because we love each other. Not that they won't tell me the truth, because they've given me some hard truths in the past, but sometimes you need other kinds of support. And my counselor will say, why did you do that? And ask you those probing questions, and then give you resources or point you in the direction of resources where you can actually start to do the work to improve those areas that you need to work on.
Yes, everybody needs a good therapist
Mm-hmm.
or a good friend,
No,
somebody to talk
I
to.
agree. You cannot do this life thing by yourself. It's not going to work.
Definitely. Stacy, you're an everyday boss belle, right? That's being an everyday boss belle just means you are fabulous, you're awesome, you're the best at what you do, right? So share with us some other things that you do in your everyday life.
Wow. So I am a PR professional. That's my 9 to 5. Um, I do the show. I'm also a very active member of my church. I'm the communications director at Fellowship Tabernacle. And my church family is amazing. The support they provide, that avenue to channel my passion for God and to work in the service of His kingdom is so important. It really gives me just this really, I can't even describe the feeling that it gives to know that you are actually doing work that is helping people in a real way, just feeding people, making sure that people who are hurt get help, practical, real things that really help.
Do you do outside of church? Are you involved in any other type of service activities?
Well, church keeps me very busy, and as you also know, PR is a
It's not a 9 to 5.
no, it's not at all. It's two work rolled up into one. In addition to the show and making sure that I am a mother that's present for my children. No, they're not tiny anymore, but they are also still at a stage where it's very important for you to be there for them. And I am very careful to ensure that, I mean, we've been working from home for several months, and
how's that been?
Boy, I tell you, at first we were getting on each other's nerves, but then we were able to make an adjustment. Actually, we had a conversation once. My son said, "Mommy, we're quarreling a lot. What's going on?" And we had the conversation, and we've actually transitioned now into a very easy place where we don't feel like we want to kill each other all day. And we have movie nights. I make sure every day, or if not every day, certainly 5 times a week, I make dinner, which I didn't used to do before. It wasn't an everyday thing. And I make sure that I cook, and we sit and we eat together and we talk. And spending time with them has also helped me to get to know them, because they are
parents don't really know their children.
Yeah, I'm learning more about them, especially my son. I mean, he turned 19 recently, and it's fascinating to me to hear his thoughts, and I'm really so proud of where he's going and how he's developing into a man. It sounds strange to say, but my son is a man. Can you imagine?
Yeah, which again, you're telling people your age, but here I always say, once you're fabulous and once you're aging, it means you're alive.
Yeah, man. And I give
age
thanks
is
for
that's beautiful.
I give thanks for every one of my 43 years. I really do. It's
Great.
been, God has been faithful from day one, and I know I have many more to come because there is purpose and I still have work to do.
Nice. What's next?
What's next? So, most immediately, season 3 of It's a Woman's World. I'm also working on a novel. It's been a while. It's been a long time coming. I actually started writing years ago and put it on pause, but the Lord has placed it on my heart to just start the engine again. So I'm working on that, and that is going to be
I look forward
awesome.
to that. Can you give us any idea of what the novel will be about? Will it be about your life? What kind of insights you can give?
There are parallels with my life. I have learned a lot of things, which I think are useful, and I'm definitely planning on sharing.
Okay, all right. So for the purposes of Everyday Boss Belle, tell me 5 things that you think everyday boss bells should have. It could be material things, traits, anything that you think will make an awesome everyday boss
All right.
belle.
First and foremost, You have to love yourself. You have to love who you are. Look in the mirror every day. This is something I actually told my daughter's class. I volunteer as a big sister. She goes to Immaculate, and I'm an old girl as well.
Oh, nice.
And so I go back and
On purpose.
Yes, it was. I made sure I indoctrinated her. Actually, there was a battle between myself and my sister who went to Woolmer's. So both of us were trying to get her to love our alma mater, and Immaculate won out. So she's a Mac girl. And what I told her class to do, I gave them a challenge. I said for 21 days, which is minimum for how long it takes you to start a new habit, look into the mirror and say to yourself,
I am nice.
oh, you're nice, so?
Very nice.
What a girl nice. Same way, so. So affirmation, you have to start there. Even if there are things about yourself that you want to change or you want to improve, you have to love who you are at the core of who you are. Don't surround yourself with people who don't make you feel awesome or amazing. You can't live in a bubble, but you can definitely, in many instances, control the exposure you have to negative influences. So people who are overly critical, who go and say, Lord, Stacey, your belly big, so avoid them.
Yeah, no, we're not here for
Avoid them.
We're not here for
We are
it.
not here for it. Make sure that you show up. You are your own brand. You have to represent your brand. People who know me know that I don't do pop down. I don't do it.
Yeah,
It is not a good look on me, and I don't wear it well at all.
Yeah, we're not here for the pop down.
No. So I get up if I have to, even if I'm not going on the road. I mean, I'm working from home, and I get up and I comb my hair and I fix my face. I mean, it may not be beat to the gods, but I make sure that I am presentable. If you have an occasion, you spend time making sure that you are representing yourself well. So that's number 3. The other thing is invest in yourself. I am a voracious reader. I read, I wouldn't say everything, because some things I don't have an appetite for, but make sure that you are edifying yourself. Make sure, yes, entertainment is fine, social media is great, but make sure that you are putting something into yourself, into your spirit, into your mind that is going to be of benefit to you later. And the other thing is, make sure that you are giving back. If it is even one young person from your church or your community, and you can buy them 2 books when school time come, or contribute to the little lady who live down the road, or something, give back, because the truth is God has given a lot to us. And if you're here, you're breathing. Worse, if you're employed, it
Especially
means
in 2020.
you are blessed and highly favored.
Yes.
And there is value and certainly truth in that theory of reaping and sowing. If you do not sow, then you cannot expect to reap. And many people neglect that part, to give back, to sow back into others. And that is how you will always have.
Always. Okay, that's a word from Stacy-Ann Smith. And as usual, we close out Everyday Boss Bells by celebrating our guests and having a cheers to moment. Everyday Boss Bells Toast segment is brought to you by CPJ's Yellowtail Bubbles Sparkling Wine. Stacy-Ann, it was such a pleasure to have you today.
It was.
And you left us with so many nuggets of wisdom and advice. And my key takeaway was to just affirm yourself, love yourself, tell yourself that you're beautiful, even with your flaws and all. So cheers to loving yourself.
Cheers. Nice, like it.
Yes. Everyday Boss Bells Toast segment was brought to you by CPJ's Yellowtail Bubbles Sparkling Wine. That's it for today's episode, guys. Until next time, I am Michelle-Ann, the PR Belle. Everyday Boss Bells was brought to you by Just Create JA, LH Multimedia, Jamaica Observer, Catherine Speaks Spring Water, Adam and Eve Day Spa and Salon, Reasons and Seasons Decor, CPJ's Yellowtail Bubbles Sparkling Wine, New Levels Decor, the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Carissa Zoe Makeup Artistry, and Cali Danny Designs.